Hey, how's it going, YouTube? David here, and I'm back with another part of my What If Frieza Waited to Destroy Planet Vegeta, What If fanfiction, whatever you want to call it. I know this is pretty much like the next day already of me putting this out. It hasn't really had a lot of time for people to kind of watch it yet, but I kind of there was more to the story that I wanted to tell that I didn't get to because the video is pretty much almost 30 minutes long. So this is kind of like a brief continuation on that. It is technically part 1.5. It's not part 2 yet. This is just something that's happening in conjunction with the story that I originally told. And it's kind of going on at the same time, around the same time. It's not really going to go into the other parts of Dragon Ball that I missed, and it's not going to go into Dragon Ball Z, at least not right away. So I just wanted to go ahead and make sure that you guys heard this story. And excuse me. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and jump into it and basically tell you guys what's been going on. So if you guys remember, I mentioned that Kakarot, he's born low-level warrior. He's educated briefly on Planet Vegeta. Excuse me. Wow. I'm not feeling it right now. So he was educated briefly on Planet Vegeta, and he managed to rise through the ranks well enough to be assigned a mission. He was actually assigned with his brother Raditz, Prince Vegeta, and General Nappa, and whoever else was there. They kind of hung out for a little bit, went on their mission. Kakarot got the shit kicked out of him. He ended up getting a what's it called? Zenkai boost. So he was about a power level 500 when he got sent to Earth. He gets sent to Earth, and right then he kind of starts training with Grandpa Gohan. He's putting in a more physical training style. He's learning martial arts as opposed to just flying, speed, and just blasting everybody with energy blasts. So he's becoming a more well-rounded fighter. Unfortunately, there's only so much physical training that you can do under the Earth conditions before you kind of stagnate. So Goku, by the end of his training with Grandpa Gohan, when he first meets Bulma, he's at about a power level of 550. Not great, but compared to Dragon Ball, he's like king of the mountain. There's nobody stronger than him. You know, there's pretty much nothing for him to do. And so they go on their adventure, and Goku's basically, Kakarot, he's basically one-shotting everybody. Again, no one can stand up to him, and eventually they end up getting captured by Pilaf, as they did because they were outsmarted originally, and they end up being locked in that chamber. I actually got a comment. Somebody pointed out that, hey, him being trapped in there, especially at a power level of 550, doesn't make sense. Goku should be an island buster, and he provides evidence because in Dragon Ball, Piccolo, with a power level of a little over 300, he completely destroys an island easily. So, thank you, Super Saiyan Hyperion. You're totally right. That is kind of an oversight on my part. Technically, Goku should not be able to be trapped in this point of the story, but I needed them to be trapped because it was kind of the story that I wanted to tell, because this is going to have a bunch of consequences later on. So, for the sake of this story, Pilaf happened to have advanced technology, and the walls in his dungeon, they were capable of withstanding a power level of 550. Probably about to a power level of 1,000, at which point Goku looked up to the full moon, and he saw basically he transformed into the Oozaru. That puts his power level at 5,500 instead of 550, and they bust out. Then all that stuff happens. They make the wish, and Kakarot, as a result, he now has a power level of 5,050 permanently because Bulma wished away the Oozaru Transformation. Shenron went ahead and did so, but he can't make people weaker. So instead of just outright just removing the Oozaru Transformation, which would permanently weaken them because they wouldn't have access to this 10 times power boost, he just endowed all Saiyans with a 10 times power boost, because the wish that Bulma made was she wished that all Saiyans no longer had it. She didn't center it specifically on Goku. She just was like, I wish the Saiyans in general, they no longer had the Oozaru Transformation. And that's where we're at right now. And the reason that I'm saying that this is going to be a story in conjunction with what I've told so far is because right now, what's going on in outer space in the Frieza Force, it does not affect Earth at all until like years later. It's not until the events of Dragon Ball when Goku's about 24 years old, so basically 12 years from now, that they kind of intersect, and then we start seeing Dragon Ball Z becoming an outer space kind of adventure show. So, at this point, we're going to say that Nappa, Vegeta, and Raditz, right now they're in some healing tanks. Right across space, they just got done conquering a planet, and they kind of got really messed up. So, they kind of got a Zenkai boost off of that, so I'll put Vegeta at 14,000, Nappa at, we'll say, how powerful was he? 4,000. I'll put him at 5,000, and Raditz, he's barely clearing 1,100. So this is still age 749, and they're about 17 years old, and Nappa is however old he is. We'll say he was 35 in 740, so 749, what is that, 44 years old. So yeah, Nappa's about 44 years old. So while they were in the healing tanks, that's when Shenron's wish took effect. And guess what? They're living Saiyans. So they were affected by the wish as well, which puts them at a 10 times power boost. So Raditz, 11,000. Nappa, what did I put him at? 5,000, so 50,000. And Vegeta, 140,000. Naturally, this is a little unsettling to the Frieza Force. They just got a major power boost. They didn't know what was going on. All they knew is that, hey, they came back, they put them in the healing chamber, and all of a sudden, their power levels are through the roof. Frieza gets word of this. So, Frieza's kind of twirling his evil mustache, if he had a mustache, and he's wondering, like, what happened exactly? Now, they're not powerful enough for Frieza to be worried just yet. Remember, Frieza's power level is about 120 million, and even in his sealed form, like his first form, he's at 530,000. They are no threat to him. Like, they don't start becoming a threat until they're at power level, like, what, 400,000? So Frieza's not too worried about them challenging him, but at the same time, he's not too keen on the idea of being all friendly and congratulatory and just letting them get on with this huge power boost. Because now they're all pretty much strong enough to hold their own against the upper level Frieza Force. They've always been stronger than the lower ranking soldiers who still run around with guns, but now they're kind of on the upper echelons, especially Vegeta. Vegeta's 140,000. That is way stronger than even Captain Ginyu. So Frieza's kind of at a loss as to what to do. Because remember, after he blew up Planet Vegeta, there was this whole thing where, like, oh my god, the tragedy of the Saiyans, and oh, we have the survivors and the prince, and he kind of lauded them, paraded them around. The people who knew that Frieza destroyed Planet Vegeta was like, it was a show of power. Like, I have the prince and these Saiyans running around, and they're doing my bidding because, you know, I let them live on my mercy. And they know that. They know, oh shit, like, Frieza can destroy our planets too, and he's just going to do whatever. It was a show of power. But for the lower levels, they just think of the Saiyans as they were these grunts who, you know, there was a very low opinion of the Saiyans, and basically, you know, nobody held them in high esteem, and Frieza was keeping them around because it was a tragedy what happened to their planet, and they served so faithfully. So people don't really like them, and they kind of don't have a high opinion of them, and they don't agree with them being around. And now they're so much more powerful than most other people. I mean, yeah, maybe Raditz is still, like, you know, nobody really... Raditz is at 11,000, so he's still kind of the runt, but still, he's still more powerful than the average Frieza Force soldier. So they're done healing. They come out of the tanks, and there's Frieza. Frieza's like, oh, wow, you guys are so powerful. I can't believe you made this jump in power. And the Saiyans, they don't even really know what's going on, because a Zenkai boost should not have given them that much power. But they're going to take it. I mean, what are you going to do? Just say, no, I don't want it? No, they love the fact that they're so powerful now. Especially Vegeta, he starts kind of throwing his weight around. And Frieza, again, he's not too keen on them, but at the same time, he's not just going to obliterate them just yet. So Frieza's response is to basically like the Frieza Force so well, so he starts sending them on more and more dangerous missions. And these missions are pretty much designed to like, hey, if they win, great, higher level planets for us, more profits. I'm getting richer and richer. I don't care. And if they die, well, no more Saiyans, no more fucking monkeys to ruin my view of my ship and all that. So as far as Frieza's concerned, it's a win-win for him. But behind the scenes, he's kind of seething because he does not like the idea of these Saiyans being so powerful. So what does he do? Over the next few years, while the Saiyans are off doing their own thing, basically, hey, he's kind of running them ragged almost. Like, hey, go to this planet. It's a high-level planet. And then they're winning for the most part. Sometimes they get a little beat up and they get Zenkais off of that. And then they go back. And they're kind of... Frieza's keeping them at arm's length. He's hiding behind this idea of they're getting higher and higher missions, but really it's kind of a soft banishment. They're kind of in exile. And in the meanwhile, Frieza is training up his forces because it's unacceptable for these monkeys to be so powerful. And his most elite squad, Captain the Ginyu squad, the Ginyu Force, their Captain Ginyu, is only a power level of 120,000. So how is it that his most elite are weaker than the Saiyans? So Frieza personally gets involved in training all of his elite teams. Frieza's whipping everybody into shape. He is pushing and punishing everyone. Some of his elite start to die, and he just replaces them with other people until eventually the Frieza Force, they have members that are like seriously outclass the Saiyans. So the Saiyans are kind of on banishment. We're getting into basically the beginning of Dragon Ball Z because all that's happened up in outer space is that Frieza's kind of done the soft exile on the Saiyans, and they've gotten stronger, not huge leaps and bounds because, again, the Zenkai boost can only really do so much, but they're getting stronger, and they're kind of off doing their own thing. They're alone, almost cut off from the Frieza Force. They only kind of meet up to refuel or to meet up on a planet for healing or something like that, and then they're off again, and Frieza's just kind of keeping them at arm's length. And the Ginyu Force and others are basically being beaten into the ground by Frieza in order to make them far more powerful. Until eventually they become crazy powerful. So at this point, we're at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. Not at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. I would say maybe a year before the Dragon Ball Z starts. So Gohan would be about like 3.5, 4. Goku's like 23. All that stuff is going on. And he's basically like... Raditz is power level 15,000. Nappa's power level 70,000. And Vegeta is powerful. His power level is 180,000. That's where I'm going to put them. So it's basically their canon, their first introduction times 10 because of the Oozaru form. So what happens is that they get sent to some other planet, and Vegeta's basically like, you know what, you guys, we've got this huge power advantage, and Frieza, our strength is only growing. We need to be able to make a move on Frieza sometime soon because we're kind of sick and tired of him. Nappa's the yes man. He agrees. Raditz is the only one that's like, I'm pretty sure Frieza's still way more powerful than us. And I've heard through the grapevine that Ginyu's being trained, and Vegeta's like, we're going to beat them no matter what. With this power that we have, we're just going to go ahead and stomp through everybody. He's kind of gotten a little arrogant because of the power is kind of getting to his head. Because remember, he's at 180,000 in his base form. He doesn't need to transform into the Oozaru. They haven't really found out yet that they don't have it anymore because they haven't needed it. But they knew that they're significantly more powerful. So Raditz is like, well, before we do anything, let me go ahead and go get my baby brother from that backwater planet that Mom said that they sent him to. Remember, Gine at some point let Raditz know that they kind of sent Kakarot away to some backwater world, and they're like, well, let me go get him. Even if he had a 10 times power boost, even if his power level was only like 2,000 or something like that, 20,000 now, so he's gonna help. He's definitely gonna be an asset. So let's get as many Saiyans as we can and go ahead and we'll go ahead and attack Frieza then. We'll just make sure that we have our forces bolstered, and then we'll go ahead and make a move. Nappa and Vegeta are like, okay, that's a pretty good idea, Raditz. Go ahead and do that. And Raditz leaves. And then that's what's going to put us at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot happened, but in reality, it kind of changed the dynamic between Frieza and the Saiyans. Because instead of them being like almost like dogs on leashes, they were kind of let loose. And they had a lot more freedom to plan and to, do all the stuff that they were doing. They didn't really have Frieza breathing down their neck so much. And that kind of emboldened them a little bit. And so they, they're more powerful and everything. So now they think we can go ahead and take Frieza and we'll take over the Frieza Force and we're just going to own everything. Frieza, however, has been preparing because now he's got an even more elite team of soldiers that are just going to be waiting for the Saiyans to make a move to absolutely wreck shit. So yeah, so everybody is more powerful on the Frieza Force and everybody's more powerful with the Saiyans. And that's what's going to bring us into part 2, because remember, this is only part 1.5. So I hope you guys kind of, I know I didn't really go into the politics too much, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood, yeah, the Frieza Force and the Saiyans have a different dynamic, and the Saiyans are way more powerful. So, as well as the Frieza Force. So that's kind of what happened and how they were affected by Shenron and the Dragon Ball Wish and everything. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And again, I'll go ahead and see you guys later. Bye.
Yeah.